Hello, everybody. Yeah, we're live, and I hope all is well. And welcome to what promises to be another tremendous, another tremendous night of discussion on Zenny 62 on YouTube. Yeah. And as I talk to you, I'm still posting updates to this and on social media. What I mean by posting updates, I mean I'm posting links to go on here. As you all come in the room, I am saying welcome to Fantasy. Anyone remember what am I trying to think of here? Ricardo Montalban. Fantasy Island. Welcome to Fantasy Island. How are you? How's everybody doing? Fantasy Island. Will all your dreams come true? Fantasy Island. Welcome to Fantasy Island. Where any argument you make could possibly be real, only in your mind. Do I sound like Jeffrey Holder? Maybe I sound like Jeffrey Holder. Maybe that's the case. Maybe that's it. Jeffrey Holder. Maybe yeah. Maybe that's it. Maybe yeah, that's it. Jeffrey Holder. Crawford 371. How are you? Now, for those of you who are watching this later after it's live, this is a live stream right now. I am playing to the audience, my viewers, on a Wednesday night. Now, programming note, there will not be, hey, how you doing? There will not be a Zenny 62 tomorrow night. I am taking my mom to see The Last Jedi. So, programming note, I'm taking my mom to see The Last Jedi. I'm taking her to see the 7 o'clock program. So, 7, 8, 9 o'clock. If I do a show tomorrow night, it'll be about The Last Jedi as a review. So I'll do a recap. I'll do a recap of The Last Jedi, but I'm making a note. I'm taking my mom to see The Last Jedi. I am really excited. My mom is willingly going to see The Last Jedi. Hey, Joshua A.G. Hey, Richard Ray Archuleta. How are you? Hello from Seattle. Hey, are you guys going to build a new arena there? And John Marks, what's the latest in your neck of the woods up there? Wait a minute. Richard is in Seattle. John Marks is in Kelso, Washington. You all are not far away. Are you all ready for the holidays? Are you ready for Christmas? Are your Christmas trees up? Ours isn't up here, so we're going to Chicago. We should put it up anyway. Crawford says, more of the same tomorrow from the stadium meeting. Yes, more of the same. But before I get to that, tell me, are you ready for Christmas? I'm also doing this as a way of buying time as I promote this out there, and I'm waiting for Barry Lee. I don't see Barry Lee because Barry generally serves as the tweet meister, you know, tweeting stuff out. I'm tweeting it out right now myself, but Barry is generally the tweet meister, John Marks says Christmas is financially bad for him. John Marks, I would probably guess that you're not the only one. It tends to be that point where you generally have to spend money for gifts for people, and then you have to wonder if they're going to take them back. Unless you have an alternative form of gift buying, alternative way of gift buying. And I have found that in many cases, people don't. So, it is that season. Tis the season to be worrisome. And tis the season to be wondering and spending money. The Rolling 100, I have not seen you in quite some time. Now, if you wonder what all that flourish was about, I just sent out another tweet. Yeah. And I ought to put it on Reddit just for grins. Thumbs up, everybody. I got 5 thumbs up there. 23 people. 22, 23, it varies for some reason. Bring the thumbs up. Maybe, hey, why not? Just everybody, thumbs up. Just click on that thumb up button there. Why not? Why not? Why not? Happy holidays to you. Why not? We have, Crawford says, Christmas came too soon. It almost feels like the NFL season started a month ago. And, ew. Okay. Before we start about that, my question to the flock. Cowboys are coming to the Coliseum. First of all, who's going to the game? I'm here in Georgia. Joshua, thank you for the thumbs up. That's the number 9. Can we get to 10? Can we get to 10? Can we get to 10? Crawford says he did. Okay. And Raider Hernandez, how are you? Thank you. Thank you very much. By the way, I'm behind on getting out shares. I promise I will do it. And also I have an announcement for those who may be watching and asked for their money back, which I did give you back your money. I did not, however, delete your shares. So what's the upshot of all this? Well, the upshot of all this is that I have a number of proposals out for investors and things are going well. I have no intention, and I did not take off your shares. So I sent your money back in the case where I sent money back. But in all cases, your shares were not removed. Now, I'm not going to do that for everybody, okay? But I'm just letting everyone know who, and there weren't a lot of you. We're not talking about a lot of people. But those who were upset over the political differences, you still have shares here. And the lesson here is that you should never cut off your nose in spite of your face. In other words, some of you invested $2, some of you invested a lot more than that. But that $2 share, given the way things are going, is going to be worth a lot more than $2, okay? Or the amount of shares that you may have contributed that were worth $30 are going to be worth a lot more than that. And I think you'll be very pleased to know that your shares still exist for those, well, the number of people I'm talking about who fit in this category is 2, okay? 2 of you, 2, that's it, okay? So it's not a whole bunch, but I just wanted to make that programming note, among other things, all right? So, all right, now, who is going to the Cowboys game? I am here. Raider Hernandez is going. Who else? And Joshua A.G. says, I didn't agree with the Ken Norton firing racism thing, but you're still my boys then. Joshua, hey man, we can agree to disagree? I got you. I got you. I got you. And Raider Hernandez says, yes, he's going. Raider Hernandez is going. And Bay Area Mike is going. Bay Area? Oh, Bay Area 408. How you doing, Bay Area 408? So you got Raider Hernandez, Bay Area 408. Are you some of the dudes that go to that after party over by the West Side Club? Joshua A.G. says, I may be there as well. That's fun. That's a fun hangout. That is a fun hangout. If you've never been, that is a lot of fun. Tons of fun. And who else? Okay. So of all of you who are, all of you, regardless of whether or not you're going, who do you think will win? The Cowboys or the Raiders? If you believe the Cowboys are going to win, press C, okay? If you think Raiders, press D. For me, it's C, all right? C, another C. Forget about it, Vegas. D. Dorian says, what's D? Raiders is an R. It's either D, it's either C or an R. If you think Cowboys, yeah. We will win our last game of the season Sunday. So we got a C. Dorian, Raider Hernandez says R. Raiders Hernandez says Raiders. Wow. Dorian says Raiders. Ooh. Dorian laughs out loud. Which means Dorian is not exactly certain that the Raiders will win. He just happened to pick the R because it was close to the D. Have you ever looked at the keyboards? Like you have the D here and the R here, and it's very easy to miss the D and hit the R, or miss the R and hit the D. Anyway, Tony Piling says Raiders. Rick 209 says Cowboys. Ray Hernandez says not by much, we will win. Crawford 371 says Josh, I think the last win was last week. John Mark says C and D. And I think the Raiders' defensive line is not up to physical snuff to deal with the Cowboys' offensive line. I believe the Raiders' weakness against the run will be exposed, and the Cowboys will run it effectively. The only solace the Raiders have is a ball control, short passing game that we have not done. If we do that, Todd Downing will have taken a gigantic step into a larger world, as Obi-Wan Kenobi would have put it. Citron says, did you hear about the news about Goodell? Yes, I did. I was credentialed to go to the NFL meeting you just saw, or may have seen. Didn't go because I'm here for Mom. Rick 209 says 67 offensive yards in the first half. That's his prediction. Dorian says, don't matter, Raider Nation, baby. Crawford says, Jerry Jones and Goodell together was awkward. Why is everyone making something about that? That's a media creation that's supposed, skirmish. And I've seen them together many times. I mean, so many times it's not funny. So to believe one media account that's words and not photos. If you don't see a video of somebody acting out, my suggestion to you is to not believe it. Hey, Barry Lee, if you are tweeting, please tweet #Raiders. So I got tweet #Raider Nation. Raider Nation, #Raider Nation, and then #Raiders. That'll help. Yeah. So Joshua says Downing will be fired. Barry Lee says hello. The Barber 1974 says, I hate to say it, but I think the Cowboys fans are going to take over the Coliseum. No, I don't think they're going to take over because a lot of Raider fans. It's pretty hard to do that. I think if anything, more Raider fans will come out of the woodwork, but it's not going to be equal at all. I think it'll be about maybe 1/8 Cowboys fans, and that's it. Because I remember the last time the Cowboys came to play the Raiders at the Coliseum. I was at that game. That was a while ago. If memory serves, I'm going to have to check the dates of the series because I don't want to miss a date. But the time that I went, when I took a friend of mine, it was about 1/8 Cowboys fans at best. The rest were Raider fans. And Crawford says Jerry Jones will feel the wrath in the Coliseum come Sunday. Hennessy, how you doing? It says just got here. What's up with you in Las Vegas? I haven't turned to that yet. I was waiting for everybody to sort of ramp up and come in, and that's what you're doing. So then I'll turn to Vegas. Crawford says sideshow. I mean meeting tomorrow. Hennessy. Richard Ray Archuleta says Sanders had a pick. The Barber 1974 says last time the Cowboys came to Oakland, the Raiders weren't moving. Bay Area 408 says Cowboys fans take over Raiders Stadium. I say wrong. Not happening. Not happening. There'll be a sea of black. I'm telling you. You the man, Rick Rice. Patrick M. Blackman says, I'm just looking toward the draft. That's a good idea. To which, do you think that if he is available, the Raiders should take Lamar Jackson? Just asking. Just asking. Now, let's turn to Vegas and a discussion of that. All right? Now that everybody's... Now that a significant number of the flock are here. Oh, by the way, Barry, could you tweet out more than once? Tweet out also Las Vegas. #Vegas. Why not? Okay. The Las Vegas. Did I say that? The Las Vegas Stadium Board. What's wrong with me? I need an adjustment like this. Okay, that's better. All right, that's much better. Las Vegas Authority Board. Las Vegas Stadium Authority Board meeting. Yes. Meeting agenda for December 14th, 2017, 1 o'clock. University of Nevada, Las Vegas, Foundations Boulevard, Blasco Event Wing, 4505 South Maryland Parkway, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89154. Now, thank you for sending the second tweet, Barry. Much appreciated. Agenda is roll call to order, roll call and establish quorum. 2 is public comment. And you know what? They're getting weird about the public comments because the public comment period for the last meeting was so contentious, they didn't accurately record it. They hinted at the skirmish, the verbal skirmish between Tommy White and members of the minority contractor community in Las Vegas. But if you've not seen the video account, if you've not watched the live stream, if you were not there, you would have no clue of the rancor, that level of rancor happened on that day. It was awful. So I'm beginning to question their honesty. Well, that's a bad word. I'm beginning to question the degree to which they're giving full. I'm beginning to question their desire to give full accounts of what's happening at these meetings as they become contentious. It's like a cover-up. And then I'm be questioning their desire to actually get the full story out, because I did send an email requesting the latest information on where we were with the Las Vegas Stadium Authority and the collection of the stadium tax. This is December 14th. We should know what the numbers for November look like by now. And yet, silence. Did anyone see a tweet from Sisolak? I didn't. Let me go back to see your comments, but see if I missed anything, because I switched away. John Marks is coming in hot with a lawsuit. Crawford says, I wonder if Tommy White will be there. Barry Lee says, when is the meeting? It's tomorrow, Barry. Crawford says 1 p.m. Pacific time. Thank you, Crawford. Crawford also remarks by a comment, time for numbers calculations again. More? Well, I already done them. I don't need numbers well, I do. I see what you're saying, Crawford. I see what you're saying. You're saying, hey, look, time for numbers calculations again based on the data that I don't have yet from them on the numbers, the revenue numbers for November, right? Ding! Where are they? Okay. Barry Lee says, okay, good cause. I want to watch another disaster of a meeting. Hey, prep for The Last Jedi. In fact, where is The Last Jedi when you need her? Wait, is Rey The Last Jedi, or is it Snoke? Or is Mark Hamill The Last Jedi? Have we established that yet? I'm just asking. As Crawford says, get your popcorn ready. But I'm wondering, where, I'm excited. The Last Jedi, woohoo! Ha. Oh, excuse me. Anyway, to which I have another announcement. I am working to get 3 real-life Jedi on this show at once, okay? At once. Vincent, you're back. Come on in here, boy. Thumbs up right now. Welcome. Crawford, Barry Lee says, Crawford, I always enjoy a good comedy. Richard Rialetta says, Jar Jar Binks is The Last Jedi. Oh, jeez. Now we're going off the rails. Vincent Lepsino says, the Disney-Fox deal is expected to happen tomorrow. Yes, it is, but I'm not going to talk about it right now. And the reason I'm not going to is not that it's not important to, well, because look at the title below you. That's why. I won't stick to that. Now, Jacob P., where have you been? Jacob P. loves Star Wars. Jacob P. says stadium and Star Wars Stadium? I'm a little lost, Jacob P., with your comment there. What do you mean? Milk Walker reads, I am God. You mere mortals don't scare me. But I'm a Jedi. I'll cut your head off. So anyway, so take that. Vincent Lupsito says, will you talk about it tomorrow? Laugh out loud. I will have the live stream as it goes, because it starts at 4 o'clock our time. In fact, that's going to be interesting because I'll start, it should go 4 o'clock. If it goes until 6, I'll stop at 6. I'll have to, because we have to go. So, because it starts at 1 o'clock, and 1 o'clock their time is 4 o'clock this time. Yeah, so, and now we're getting to the fall. So I'll go until about 6 o'clock. I'll get 2 hours of it. Hopefully it doesn't last that long, okay? And Vince Jacob P says, sorry, Zini, I was saying I love Star Wars, and let's talk about the Raiders Stadium. Okay. Boy, you're talking about a short end. It's like, love Star Wars on one line, and then stadium. And I'm like, huh? So, all right, back to the agenda. Now that I've got your comments out of the way here. And, oh, barely you banned the guy who claimed that he was Thor. Or he said he's God, okay? You know, let him have fun. I don't mind that one. He didn't say anything bad. You bring him back. Bring him back. Bring him back. Bring him back to life. The kingdom. Dilly dilly. Dilly dilly. Dilly dilly to the kingdom. Dilly dilly. Dilly dilly. Dilly dilly. I'm for having a little fun. Dilly dilly. With my splash. Dilly dilly. Right? Dilly dilly. Dilly dilly. The pit of misery. Yes. The pit. This is, for anybody who brings fake news about Vegas, this is the pit of misery. Dilly dilly. Hey, Rick Gray, how are you? Crawford says, it would be funny if a Star Wars scene crashed the Stadium Authority tomorrow. As Vincent will say, dilly dilly, dilly dilly, dilly dilly, dilly dilly. And for that, I will take a swig of this fantastic lemon water splash by Nestle. And no, this is not a paid sponsorship. I wish. I will tell you, if you have high blood pressure, take this stuff. After a workout. Hey, during a workout. Lemon. Now. You subbed. The kingdom subbed. Dilly dilly. Dilly dilly. Dilly dilly. Now, back to the matters of the agenda before my folks get tired of the dilly-dillying and dilly-dilly out of here. All right. Approval of the agenda. Chairman committee comments. Now, what will Stephen Hill say? They should rename this item the Stephen Hill moment. Because that's what it is. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, it's his moment to say whatever is on his mind, right? So, you know, within reason. I believe he's going to make some comment about where we are with the GOP tax bill. If he doesn't, I think it's a missed opportunity to give people an update on what representatives have asked for and whether or not they'll get that requested exemption. I mean, asking for something is one thing, but then having it voted in is something else, okay? And let's see, I think now that us Dems got what we wanted in terms of a victory, and there are people who are opposed to, as they put it, tax breaks for billionaires building stadiums, it will be interesting to see if the final, to what degree the final document really actually includes the exemption. I think it's more likely to include, excuse me, the lack of exemption. I think it's more likely to include the exemption killing provision than not, because of this desire to have something that's more populist. Now, if Roy Moore had won, yeah, I think there would have been a good chance that, a better chance, though not a solid chance, a better chance that the exemption killing provision would not have wound up in the eventual bill. Now, I think it's a better chance that it will be there, okay? So, I think Stephen Hill will talk about that and give us a bit of a personal account of that, and probably announce, you know, the extra meeting that's going to be there. Approval of minutes from the last meeting, that's number 5. And then number 6, receive an update. I expect these to go quick. 1 through 5, I think, will go really quick, all right? 6, receive an update from staff on administrative items relating to the operation of the stadium authority. That's a big deal because, look, all right, where are we right now? I haven't seen any resuscitation, any reciting of the latest stadium numbers, and everybody expects them to be low, right? Meanwhile, oh, by the way, dilly. Meanwhile, I expect them to be no. Oh, Vincent says, I will tell you about it tomorrow. Bye. John Mark says, what's a dilly? I'll explain that to you. But anyway, here's the thing. In terms of the stadium authority, and in terms of this matter of its budgetary needs, if there's less money taken in from the stadium tax, all right, then it hampers. Let me be more specific. Right now, there's still a surplus of roughly $2 million, but if the additional monies from November show something like, perhaps, let's just throw out a number, maybe half of what they were before, okay? And then the stadium authority turns around and takes its $1 million, that would cut into just about 50% of the reserve. And if you have a consistent, a dramatically lower stadium tax revenue take, the question becomes, how much money can the stadium authority itself afford to pay with respect to staff costs? Now, the newly contracted Grand Canyon Corporation that's helping with the document preparation, that's being paid for by the Raiders. But the stadium authority and its staffing time and payment has got to come up as an issue now. Now, okay. All right, now what's a dilly? A dilly is a term that was created for a Bud Light commercial wherein friends and Romans and countrymen who come to pay their respects to the king give the king a gift. The king loves Bud Light. So everybody that's a friend of the king, a real friend, knows this guy loves Bud Light. His family, his wife loves Bud Light. So come up, you give him Bud Light. I bequeath upon ye 3 cases of the great Bud Light. And everyone yells, dilly, right? But then if you come and maybe you want to give him, water, he'll say, and this will give you 1 trip, and 1 trip only, which is 1 trip you'll only need, to the pit of misery, And so they haul him off to this dungeon, which, secret out, you can actually escape if you want to get some Bud Light and come back, if you want to do that. So anyway, there you go. Okay, now, onward. All right. Now, hope you answered your question, John. Crawford says, hopefully the stadium tax bill killer is in the Senate bill. And that is something we'll figure it out, I think, by the end of the month. We'll have an idea where that's going to be. Steve Macy, how you doing? Evening all in depth, dilly. John Mark says, I don't watch TV anymore, sorry. Well, I know, that's why we're bringing stupid TV commercials to you, John Marks. Right here. You can get them right here, okay? Hey, the Kingdom says, Rick Gray says, talking about financing, how much money for this stadium is coming from sponsorship? Could this be the way the Las Vegas plans to make up the gap in the money available and money needed? And the answer is no. And I will say to you that the money coming from, there's 2 types of, let me show you, let me get the spreadsheet and I'll show you, but I will in a bit more detail. Yeah, more detail. But I will explain that in the spreadsheet that I put together, which came from the SNCIC meeting financial document and model, the assumption was a naming rights agreement of $7.1 million a year over 30 years. Okay, so that was already there. The events, the revenues for the stadium were broken down into two primary categories: non-event revenues, like naming rights, and event revenues, fees. And so let me show you what they looked like, okay? This media shares by calculator. Oh boy, that's XLS. Let me just say open recent documents. Open document. Hold on, I'm getting the document right now. Now answer your question. Documents, let's see, .xls. But the answer in terms of your question is the $27 million in the hole with those calculated revenue figures, okay? Now, let me call up this and open says me. Here it is. Okay. Come with me under the sea. There. Okay. Now, this is total event revenues. This is from SNCIC document note 4. Okay. Total event revenue, that's basically $31 million annually. This is from the document, but you extrapolate that over 30 years, it looks like this. And then non-event revenue, naming rights, $10.3 million, which is $309 million over a 30-year period. There's your total stadium revenue, okay? So what we add on to that is we add on the annual debt service. So we add on, first of all, we have the stadium operating expenses, and this comes from that note 4, and that's $21 million, all right, there. But you put that over 30 years times 30, that's $646 million. And that leaves you a net operating income here of $19 million or $597.8 million, okay? So then you start to look at the debt service and capital, and this is the debt service, which is, we don't know what that's going to, that's SNCIC model, but they didn't anticipate Bank of America, so they had $32 million, but I put that at 0. And the reason why I did is because it was more of a guesstimate. It was a preclusive addition pointing to something like what did occur, which is the Bank of America debt service loan, which is $32.5 million a year, or plus interest is $885 million. It's a straight loan, all right? The capital expenditure is $75 million, or $2.5 million annually. This is your total debt service and capital, okay? So for free stadium operating cash flow, because of this Bank of America loan debt, is negative $15 million, all right? But that extrapolates to $332 million, okay? So your total project operating cash flow is your stadium net operating income plus your stadium operating costs, and that produces this negative $1.3 billion, all right? So the point that I'm making is that when you add the Bank of America loan to the current revenue structure, you come out $15 million in the hole annually. That's $15 million more that you need from revenue, and they've already identified the revenue sources. Naming rights, your naming rights agreement right now under this model comes out to be about $210 million annually. Excuse me, $210 million for the project. All right. So you would need somewhere in the neighborhood of a naming rights agreement that was something like $800 million to, well, yeah, there it is. You would need a naming rights agreement of $850 million to bring this from a stadium operating cost standpoint back to a balance. All right, you would have to have essentially the largest naming rights agreement in the history of the National Football League. That's what we're looking at here, because again, these numbers also reflect sponsorship and marketing estimates the consultants and the Raiders came up with in 2016. It's already parked in there, okay? So there you go, Rick Gray. Lou Borges. Hello, Dwayne The Rock Johnson. I like that. Raider Hernandez says, off with his head. I like that. Off with his head. Off with his head. Barry Lee says, I wished I was at the meeting in Las Vegas and I would still yell out, dilly dilly. Joshua agree says, at the meeting, that is. Barry Lee says, be back in a while, have to drive home from the laundromat. Be careful, please. Steve Macy says, dilly definition is a person or thing that is excellent. Really? Let me look that up. Dilly dilly? Dilly dilly. Let me see that. Dilly dilly. Dilly dilly. Dilly dilly. Dilly dilly dilly. 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 I just write dilly, okay? And yes. Steve Macy's right. Take a look. Steve Macy says, you doubt me? You doubt me, son? Here we go. See, look. Dilly. North American. An excellent example of a particular type of person or thing. Yeah. That is a dilly of a breakfast recipe. I got it. Okay. So basically, it's where you're saying the Bud Light's a dilly thing. Dilly. Bud Light. Dilly dilly. It's double dilly. Dilly dilly. Hey. And here's the thing. Now that when you look at dilly, it's nothing but Bud Light. No one had ever heard of dilly until Bud Light. Take a look at this, folks. This is hilarious. All right. This is Bud Light. Under dilly. Just a little note there. Thank you, Steve Macy. He gives a thumbs up there. Thank you very much. Now back to more weighty matters. But does that answer your question? Rick Gray says 27 million per year, right? It's negative $27 million per year. That's correct. It comes out actually, the way this was is it comes out actually as a negative 15 million a year here. All right, so it's negative 15 million, negative 15 million, $72,104 annually. And let me go up here now. The total project cost is $3.04 billion, and that's assuming that land infrastructure and on-site costs are $500 million. The off-site transportation infrastructure cost, the highway repair, is $450 million, and that's per law. The parking costs $195 million. The relocation fee is set $370 million. The practice facility is $100 million. Contingency is $100 million. So that's where that is. Now, can these costs be mitigated or reduced? They can be. The one that I believe is the most robust is parking. The land and infrastructure cost is $500 million, and that has to do with reports that I received regarding the difficulty. Well, reports that I received basically that the Raiders were trying to, and they spent 7 months analyzing the land and trying to find a way to justify an engineering firm that would justify or present a lower cost estimate regarding preparation of the land, but also reflects such problems as the drainage channel and the fact that it needs to be moved, the fact that there's not enough land to build the roads called for at grade, in other words, at level, that would allow cars to come in, not just to park, but go and pick up their rideshare clients and so on. The actual footprint is, when you put the stadium on it, not large enough to effectively accommodate those streets and roads. You have to adjust for those. Then, of course, you've got to drill. You have to make that trench for the field, which then slides in and out. And that trench has to have its own drainage system. And ideally, you have to have, in order for it to work, because it's a floodplain, a kind of a catch bill of maybe about 1 million square feet of space below the stadium. That's what the Falcons Stadium has here. So you peg that at 500 million, but let's say that even if you lowered it to, let's say you lowered it to, well, because it was originally 350 million, so 500 million is not, is only 150 million more, okay? That's it. So let's say that those costs only add another 400 million. Okay, let's say those additional costs only add another 50 million to the total to make it 400 million. You're still talking about a total net NFL stadium project revenue of negative 840 million. All right, and the point is that between the land cost, the land preparation cost, the land infrastructure cost, let me show you what I'm talking about so you get a better understanding. Between the construction costs are fixed. I haven't messed with that. But land infrastructure and on-site costs, which I had at 500 million, now 400 million, just, testing different numbers, that is where you get into the issue of land preparation, drainage, the channel issue, roads on it, and so on, okay? This is offsite. This is highway. These are highway alterations and additions that are needed as per the Nevada Department of Transportation. It calls for the Raiders to pay an adequate amount. That's right there in the law, okay? So let's say an adequate amount is $450 million. But one highway interchange is 200 million, right? So let's say that we take this 450 million and we drop it. They're going to have to pay for more than one interchange. So let's say we drop it to, just for grins, let's say we drop it to $250 million, right? Okay. We are still, if you take a look at it, we're still at negative $640 million. All right. Versus team investment, 500 million. Public investment is 750 million. And even that's a problem because of the stadium tax issue. And then, of course, this is the Bank of America loan, and that's what your total is, okay? So you are short by 640 million, even with these adjustments. Now, you would say, all right, why is that? It's because, look, these are legal requirements. Clark County says you have to pay for parking. That represents 67 acres of space that the Raiders have to identify and then make happen. This is, of course, the off-site transportation infrastructure costs they have to pay for. That's by law. And this is also, part of the original plan here, but the Raiders underestimated this, all right? So this project, by its very nature, its legal nature, by the nature of the site itself, its requirements for additional transportation improvements, additional infrastructure improvements, because it's, barren land from the perspective of it never being used before, unlike the Coliseum, because of those problems, and again, the legal requirement. This is not something that the Raiders can get out of. They can't say, we're not going to do it, or we're going to delay it forever. It has to be done, and if you don't do it, it becomes a political sword of Damocles hanging over your head. I've used that term before, because if you don't do it, someone's going to apply some sort of penalty to make you do it. That's the situation you set yourself up in. You don't want to be in that situation, all right? So that's the problem here. Now, Getting back, okay, going back. Hey, good night, Kingdom. Rick Rice says, dead duck, laugh out loud. Steve Macy says, missed that from Steve Macy. Says, Zen, have you ever showed these numbers to someone from the Vegas Journal and Review and to see if they'd be interested in posting it in their newspaper? I haven't formally done that because, in all honesty, because I assume that they wouldn't publish it. Actually, that's not true because I did share those numbers with Ed Graney. When Ed Graney came up to visit Oakland and on video, we talked with him. So I did share that information with Ed Graney, but he never used it. In fact, I talked about these problems with Ed on the record. He never ran the interview. Okay? He never ran the interview. And since then, Ed's been reassigned to cover college sports, college basketball. Okay? But he never ran that. All right? So, okay, Luis Borjas says, listening this man talking about me, I only remember the song So Much to Say of Dave Matthews Band. Yeah. Crawford says, Adelson putting a dud in the stadium deal would be a dilly Christmas present. I think he already has. Just by that stadium tax rate being lower than it should be. Crawford says, Zinni, vlogs are dilly-dilly. Thank you, thank you. Dilly-dilly. Crawford, you're dilly-dilly. You all are dilly-dilly. Bester says, how about soil results? Right, and that's, I'm still trying to, I haven't gotten any information about that. I put out email requests, nothing yet. I, however, am covering the Consumer Electronics Show for the 9th year in a row in Las Vegas, so I'll be in a great position to do more, if you excuse the pun, digging. Steve Macy says, plus the moving of the underground pipes. Right, that's the channel issue as I was talking about. Rick Rice says, Joe Flacco is dilly, 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 dilly. Go CSU Rams, how you doing? How y'all doing? Hey, man, what's going on? What's up, Ram? What's up? Hey, Rick, what's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? It's like he said, what's up? 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 Dilly, dilly. Joseph Binsman says, evening, folks. Hey, how you doing? The evening crew comes in. Ben just says, bottom line, will Raiders be moving to Las Vegas or not? If they're not in Oakland, I'm done. Mark Davis, along with the political leadership in Oakland, has killed the Raiders. Yeah, but that's an absolute statement. It's not what we are looking at here. If you like absolutes, you're going to hate my channel. I'm sorry. Because, it's just easy to say, okay, well, bottom line is this. Bottom line is this. The bottom line is there are problems. And you come to my channel if you want to understand what the details are. Why something isn't working. And my longtime listeners now are used to my yelling about how society today just wants simple, quick answers to things and doesn't want details about why something did or did not work. I am not that person. I want details. And not only that, if you come away from my channel, you will come away more knowledgeable about the deal than the common person, so that when you say, hey, this isn't going to work for the Raiders, you'll explain why. The Raiders have a deadline. The deadline is May 16th of 2018 to get all their documents together. UNLV has no incentive to work with the Raiders effectively. It can simply stall out the Raiders. We'll find out tomorrow to what degree UNLV is willing to keep the Raiders in the game, if they're willing to really tell us the truth about that. Okay? So, Cut the Pro 510 says, with this amount of debt, I don't think they should leave. It's a crazy situation. And that's exactly my point. You see, if a person just wants an absolute, like, are they going or not, then it misses any at all. And I wonder if the person who asked that question is a media type who's just masquerading. But when you look at it from that perspective, you don't tell your viewers, you do your viewers a disservice by not telling them the details that you don't know, which would lead to a a roadmap of what to watch out for with respect to this issue. What could sink the deal? We know that there's a problem with stadium tax with respect to the bond issue. The bond issue hasn't been let yet. Remember that. There's a problem with land costs. There's a problem with land prep. There's a problem with transportation, off-site preparation. There's a problem with parking. All right? There's a problem with if the Raiders can actually pay back the Bank of America loan out of the stadium cash flows. This is a problem child of a stadium proposal. And it's important to know what those problems are, because if you know the problems, and you know what the costs are, or in this case, the negative costs are, then if it gets done, you can then say, hey, look, someone somewhere coughed up a lot of money. And then the question is, who did? And why? Okay, so one action leads to another, which leads to another. If it didn't happen, you know that someone didn't cough up the money. Now, then the other question is, what money's in it? And again, you would need, as I said earlier in this live stream, you would need a naming rights agreement that essentially at $800 million would be the largest, $850 million would be the largest ever in NFL history. All right? You would need sponsorship contributions that would rival what the Falcons are getting, actually over $1 billion, because those sponsorship contributions are already parked in to these numbers, okay? They're already here, but they're not to the level of what the Falcons got by any means. They are just not there. $309 million total versus $1 billion what the Falcons took in. All right. So the question is, will the Raiders Stadium be able to perform from a sponsorship standpoint anywhere close to what the Falcons Stadium is producing? And these numbers alone tell you the answer is no. No. And if they can't do that, then how the heck are they going to deal with this annual $15 million gap? All right. So, we've got Richard Hike says, Richard, how you doing? He says, my sister said her company has been in talks with the Raiders about using their casinos for parking. Yeah, but how much are they going to have to pay? Cha-ching, right? Rob Iman says, how much are the Raiders going to have to pay them? The Raiders, regardless of where the Raiders turn, all right, they're going to have to pay something. There's no free lunch in Las Vegas. There's always a hidden cost. There's no free lunch with this thing. So you've got, Becca says, UNLV has agreed to most items correct. I don't know that at all. UNLV's biggest issue is, can it afford the total cost of using the stadium? That's the biggest issue. What they agree to is secondary. It's the price tag that's the most important thing, because you don't want to walk into a situation and be immediately placed into an annual deficit picture. That doesn't make any sense. You might as well stay at Sam Boyd Stadium. You're already in deficit there. All right. So let's see here. Not media either way. They're what? I don't understand that. Best of says not media either moving or not. Best of, you know what? If you don't want to listen, just go away. Crawford says President Jessup will keep things confidential. In fact, you know what? This annoys me. I'm sorry. I don't even want to. I just moved you, and the reason I did is because if you don't want to pay attention, I don't want you here. I don't need you to pay attention to my stream if you're going to be that kind of person. I do not like people who do not want to think. Well, I don't dislike them, but in the context of this channel, I would prefer people here who don't mind thinking, swaying deals, asking detailed questions. This is a teach-in. That's what this is about. This is not either or. If you can't stand that, go off and, go out and hang out late at night and go in low-income neighborhoods and get into trouble and all this stuff and, bug people and all these other things to do that, people who have no soul do. I'm sorry. I just have no patience for people who just don't want to learn. And I just don't. And I didn't mean to trash anyone as I say low-income neighborhoods and all that. I just... There are reasons we have so many problems in society. And what I'm getting at is we have a society that to a degree people just don't want to think about anything. They'll rather argue and get into fights and get into these things you wind up seeing on the 11 o'clock news. Don't be one of those people. Think. Be willing to think about something rather than get to an absolute or get into stupid arguments. Think. Because, you know, someone put on Twitter, oh, he's always coming up with fake news. Well, what fake news? I'm pointing to numbers here. What fake news? There's no fake news. Okay? I'm in an argumentative form tonight. So, Crawford says, President Jessup will keep things confidential until time appropriate. Yep. Maurice Keith says, Zenny, my prediction is Mark will get to Vegas, then sell the team to resolve most of the debt. He will not own Raiders after 2002, in my opinion. But see, Maurice, this is why I say it's really important to, and I'm not saying you're doing this, so please forgive me. I'm not saying you're doing this, but it's why it's very important to pay attention to details around the tax bill. Because if the estate tax is eliminated, Mark Davis comes out a free man. He doesn't have to worry about the inheritance tax, which he's worked for some time to stave off. And it may very well lead, it may very well lead to the Raiders not moving at all. Okay? That is a possibility. That is a possibility. We'll get a better view of the Raiders' intentions when we hear the update about the non-relocation agreement. And by the way, let me get back to the... I'm trying to get through your comments before I go back to the agenda, because that's part of the agenda. All right? Crawford says, remember, the Raiders signed a lease extension until 2020. Bing! And Go Raiders says he likes that idea. And Rick Gray says, Zinni, the deal makes no sense when looking at your spreadsheets. Where do they make up the shortfall of almost $1 billion? They don't. And the Falcons got $1 billion in sponsorships and naming rights. That's right, $1 billion. $1 billion. And again, see, the problem with, if you look at my spreadsheet and look at the original SNTIC documents, both of which are online. And if you can't find mine, send me an email. I'm happy to send you a copy. I've sent the copies to other people. It's not an issue with me. But if you take a look at my spreadsheet, and my spreadsheet actually has a link to the SNTIC document that it was based on, in the notes, right? What's glaringly missing is the one addition that was, the two additions that were put there by law. The original spreadsheet had one line item for land infrastructure, and it had no separate line item for parking, because no one anticipated parking to be this enormous cost that it's turned out to be. These matters came up later. It wasn't as if the Raiders did their due diligence during the SNTIC analysis period with these. And something else too. And again, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. This deal was structured by and for Sheldon Adelson to be able to walk in, use his money, and at the end of the day become part owner of the Oakland Raiders. Mark Davis went behind his back, pretty much did everything he could to prevent that from happening, and now here we are with a deal that was designed by a guy worth $30 billion, but the guy worth $30 billion is not involved in it anymore. And that is the basic problem. Okay, so, I mean, all right. Crawford says, I think this deal is gurgling blood. Soon UNLV will take over. It is gurgling blood. Like one of John Mark's famous horror shows. Barry Lee says, Raiders won't be able to move because they won't be able to afford it because they owe a lot of parking fees to Oakland JPA, which is the other issue. The Raiders owe about $900,000 to the JPA, and the two sides, well, basically the JPA has already lawyered up. They've hired John Kecker and his crew at Kecker and Van Nest in San Francisco. I don't expect that to go away anytime soon. Now, D. Nez says, Mr. Davis is going to sell Raiders. I hope he does. Barry Lee says, I don't believe the other owners will be willing to loan the Raider money for all the parking fees owed to the Oakland JPA. Crawford says that ban was dilly-dilly. Rick Gray says, I thought the stadium... Rick Gray says, I thought that the stadium use for UNLV and the Raiders will be rent-free. I thought this was in the contract. But they have to pay game day expenses. Okay? So the UNLV has to pay day of game expenses. And that's a cutesy way of the Raiders getting rent without getting rent. The Raiders are not going to structure anything that doesn't allow them to make some money from UNLV being there. You can bet your bippies on that. And therein lay the rub. UNLV is not getting a deal where they can just simply walk in and, oh, here's your stadium to use. Come on in. You don't owe us anything. Oh, no. Not at all. No way. Let me put it this way, there's, 8 college games, right? So you have a situation where UNLV, if UNLV pays $100,000 per game or just north of that, that's $1 million right there. That's your rent, essentially. The Raiders are going to want a little more than that. That's annually. And if they're not making that money back in terms of day of game revenues, it just doesn't make any sense to do for UNLV. So it doesn't matter what you call it. You still have a problem of, are you going to be able to get enough in revenue to offset your expenses? And there's nothing that says to me right now that UNLV is the kind of school that is capable of throwing off that kind of revenue to afford to be in that stadium. That is the major issue. UNLV really needs its own stadium. It really does. So, Barry Lee says, let me see here. Barry Lee says, Barry Lee said something here. Barry Lee says, best of Zinni is urban planner. He knows what he's talking about. Thanks. Crawford says, best of is behind now. Yeah, best of is gone. Rob Iman says, Mark Davis may be stuck to possibly do a house cleaning before moving to Vegas. Yep. Maybe. Corey Brown says, I remember a Stanford economics professor who called the deal flimsy. That was Roger Knoll, who I know. And Roger, who I should have on here, Roger was talking more about the economics of the market around it. And from that standpoint, but even then, what Roger Knoll is talking about impacts the Raiders' ability to gain $1 billion in sponsorships from being in that area, and it just doesn't show that that is a doable proposition. Now, even with casinos, which casino is going to step forward and put in that kind of money? We haven't seen it yet. Even Las Vegas, now if you yell out Las Vegas Sands, I remind you of something, if you ever knew it, that Las Vegas Sands' own board took a vote not to get involved in the project when Adelson was in it. So the money that Adelson was going to spend was his personal fortune. It was not reflective of the casino seeing this as a sound business decision to invest in, a sound business proposition to invest in, okay? Keep that in mind. So, Cabral probably says, I really hope so, because if they leave, it would hurt the people of the city of Oakland, so let's all think positive. Raider Nation are here to stay. Rick Rice says Vegas is a joke. Agreed. I agree with you. There's certain politicians in Oakland, however, that did sabotage the deal, and my god sister basically got tired of the Raiders and just wanted the Raiders to go, and she didn't handle that correctly. And so we are at all, I've said this before, I'll say it again, she didn't handle that correctly. And we are here because of that. Now, she's not treating the A's the same way, but she also isn't handling the A's in the fashion the A's want. The A's want her to be a champion for them to get in, a home in Oakland. Now, does that mean the A's are going to turn around and move? No. It means that there's an opportunity in an election year for, if Libby doesn't handle this, I'm afraid to say it because I don't want this to happen to her, to drop the ball. Because this is about infrastructure development. It's not going to go away. It isn't going to go away. All right? Now, onward. Dilly. Rick Rice. Dilly. Cooper says, hey, Zinni, you think Mark Davis is just buffing a power play to get the city of Oakland? No. I don't. Well, I don't think so, but it is a possibility. And it also could be that he's waiting out the election to see what will happen. It's not smart to base your relocation plans on one mayor. Mayors change. If you want a new mayor, you back a person you want, and you stick with that horse, and you ride that horse. The Raiders have proven they don't understand that kind of politics, which is ironic considering that Mark Davis asked me when I first met him, who should I back for mayor? He asked me that question in 2014. And I told him, Brian Parker, Libby Schaaf, Joe Tuman, in that order. He didn't. Sort of stay out of it. That's a mistake. If you're trying to build something, also true for the A's, you get behind politicians, just like other developers do, right? And you do it, I'm not saying pay to play. No, that's not what I'm talking about. No. I'm saying, hey, look, you've got a number of people running for mayor. Make yourself politically known. Contribution here, contribution there, contribution there. Spread out your contributions so that all of them are aware of your presence. But never attach the contribution to a request regarding legislation. That is when you get into trouble. Never do that, okay? Ever. Make sure that you have all elected officials involved, not one or two. But then, hey, look, when you get involved in politics, tell your staffers to pick a favorite, pick a favorite, But keep that among your staff and move forward. And if your favorite doesn't happen, move with lightning speed to get behind the winner, and meet the request of the mayor. That's what you're supposed to do. If you want to get things done, if you want to build things, you have to have the cooperation of elected officials. That is the way it goes. You cannot expect to get anything by defying elected officials. I've seen it time and again. It's completely stupid. Don't do it. There's a fine line that has to be walked. The smart developer can walk the fine line. All right. Rick Gray says, could the parking issue be solved by the current casinos around the stadium taking in that influx of cars? They could just charge $35 per car and keep that on event days for themselves, right? No, because it assumes that each casino that has that parking capacity is not going to use it or doesn't need it for some other event on that day. I mean, the reason why those parking lots are there is because those casinos have arenas and ballrooms that can attract events, which then require that kind of parking. So what you would have to do as the casino operator is say, okay, we're not going to have these events on the Raiders game day, but on the other hand, we are going to charge the Raiders patrons to use that, and that charge is going to be exorbitant, leading to this question: are they actually going to use it? So if they don't use it, then the casino doesn't make its money. So if the casino doesn't make money, the casino has no incentive to continue offering the parking. And who does that hurt in the end? It hurts the Raiders, because then we're right back to the square one of having no parking. The other question I have is will Clark County actually give them the proper variance to do that, given the dynamics I just pointed out to you? You see, the best situation for the Raiders is someone around who has 70 acres of land they really don't need, and maybe they want to develop on a little bit. They can quite literally give that to the Raiders for use for parking, and that's it. Then it costs the Raiders nothing. That is the dream scenario for the Raiders. Like I said, it's a dream scenario. All right? So, dilly. Now, but it's a great question, by the way. Rick Rice says, Barry Strong, dilly. Rick Rice says, thank you, Crawford. You're a gentleman. Patrick Blackman. Mr. Blackman, how you doing? He says, I think the city of Oakland should build a stadium anyway. Ding! If the Raiders do move, even though I don't think they will, some NFL franchise relocate there, I completely 1,000% agree. Dilly. Now, is it Cut the Pro 510 writes, counting to get the city of Oakland to give them a spot for a new stadium. Okay. And let's see here. Oh, got it. Bradley says, I don't like people who think they know what they're talking about and won't keep an open mind because I didn't get a degree as an urban planner, and so my mind is open to what Zinni says. Hey, thank you, Barry. I appreciate that. And again, you know, I love to have a technical discussion. It's not an absolute. If you have some, you know, concept or knowledge to bring forward that advances along our understanding of this in terms of details, fine. But this is not complicated. This is, you know, building a property. And so when I say if you have some knowledge, I mean, what's going on with the land? What's going on with, like, for example, Rick Gray brought up, Steve Macy and others bring up examples of the casinos possibly being used. That's great information. Then we can take that information and we can analyze it in the context of what we know about the project. That's a great discussion, because he might say, hey, the casinos can do it. What you're talking about, Zane? I say, well, let's think about that, right? So I'll continue. Casinos really can't, because they would have to give up events that normally use that parking. And the question is, what they give up enough? No, are the Raiders bringing them enough money in terms of paying parking patrons to consider them giving up parking for that one game day? All right, which happens to be on a Sunday. Okay, and maybe they have an event like J-Lo and they charge $200 a ticket, and you get, $200 a ticket, you get 10,000 people, right? So $200 a ticket, 10,000 people, that's better than 14,000 people at $35 a head. You know, and then on top of that, those folks are paying for parking too. So you're making more money from that than you are from dealing with the Raiders. Okay, so you see, you start working out the economics, and what looks promising doesn't look so good when you start looking at the details. Rick Gray says, doesn't the stadium need a certain amount of parking as law? Yeah, it needs 1/4 of the total stadium capacity, which is how we got to this problem to begin with, okay? Go CSU Ram says, hey, Zinni, that's by Clark County law. Just saying, if the Raiders move to Vegas, could the Jags or Titans move to... No, I don't think so. I don't think it's that easier cut and dried. Why wouldn't... I mean, I think the better scenario, given the cost issues for the Raiders and the Raiders' lack of deep pockets, is for the Jaguars to move to Las Vegas and the Raiders to stay in Oakland. That's what I think is a more possible scenario than anything else. I said possible, not absolute. Rob Iman says, how much would the Raiders be valued if the Mark Davis were to sell the franchise? Oh, I'd say the Raiders would clock in at about $4 billion. Go CSU Rams says, good question, Rob. Albert Valdez says, can you bring in Roger and me on this show? I can try. Rob Iman says, I think it could be somewhere between $3 billion to $4 billion. Yeah. G-Dick says, no other team would be supported in Oakland but the Raiders. Yeah, that's true. Unless that team that you moved there underwent a complete rebranding to meet the image needs of Oakland, and sound the clarion call for take over the NFL, you know, like the Invaders or something. But basically, yeah, you're right. So anyway, Go CSU Ram says, I hope the A's don't move. If they do, I'm going to be really upset, in big letters. Rob Iman says, Shaft needs to back off Howard Terminal. Too many challenges. But what if I told you that the A's actually decided they wanted Howard Terminal? What if I told you the A's think that they can make Howard Terminal work? Okay? What if I told you, you get the idea, all right? Rick Rice says, whatever happened to Ronnie Lott? Well, he's on Joe Buck's show. Corey Brown, he's not in this picture. Corey Brown says, would it have harmed potentially keeping the Raiders if the JPA insisted on recovering the past parking fees before they would agree to extend the lease? I know that one aspect has spilled into the other in terms of negotiations. I don't know where they are with that. I'm trying to find that out. Rick Gray says, I again ask if gambling could be part of the stadium infrastructure. Other resorts in Vegas theme sell pirates, Egyptian pyramids. This could be a football-style resort, no gambling on game day. No, it could be, but when you say football-style resort, that implies you need more land to make that happen. Where are you going to get the land? They've already have, it's, what, 70 acres. Most of that is the stadium. Then you've got the rolling in of the field. You have only 2,400 spaces for parking. Your resort idea is chewed up by the land that's used. You need to expand out. Where are you going to do that? Where are you going to do that? There's not enough land to do that. You say you want to build a hotel. Well, you build a hotel, you need additional ingress and egress roads. There's no space on that site to do it. You're going to redesign it over the stadium itself. You still need more road space to make that happen. So, you know, fine. You don't have enough space to do that. It's not there. That's the biggest problem of all. All right, it says Stefan Piscotty has been traded to the Oakland A's. Oh, Dean Nez says, I think the Raiders will not make money in Las Vegas. Vegas is adult entertainment city. That's what I think. There's a lot of entertainment 24/7. Come on, as he writes, come on, stay in Oakland. Mark, you're going to lose. Crawford says, Darren Dean, great comment. Michael Ninquist says, the Raiders are financially better off staying at the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum. I agree. Rick Gray says, anyway, I hope this deal falls apart. Mainstream is still acting like this is a done deal. I just don't understand why mainstream media hasn't picked up on your numbers. Dilly. It's a good question. Joseph Jones says, Zinni, and I've tried, but Zinni, where is the four? But here's the thing. Something also about mainstream media you have to be informed of. Thanks to a lot of you, I get recognized in public everywhere. And I don't have a presence on mainstream media, on television, right? So consider that people are coming here, they're watching, and this is media as much. So it may be, and I think that some mainstream media believe that they bring me on, they're just going to enhance my media, right? So therein lay the problem for them. But look, I can get on trains, I can be in the BART train, I could be at an airport here, or in Chicago, or anywhere, and I get recognized. It's as if I was on television. That's thanks to people like yourself. I thank you for, you know, being fantastic to me. Dilly. Zinni, Joseph Jones asks, Zinni, where's the Forever Oakland movement at this point? Haven't heard from anything from them. They are dormant, as Crawford just typed. Dina says, City of Oakland has 70 acres. Yep, and right. Well, actually 100 acres. Coliseum City is bigger than that. John Marks says, call them the Oakland Invaders. I like it. Barry Lee says, not to mention that the NFL's family entertainment image will be tarnished once TMZ gets a hold of players at the Bunny Ranch. G-Dick says, Zinni. No, Zinni. No other team. You got it. I got you. Dean Nitz says, you're the man when it comes to Raiders news. Hey, thank you, Dean. You guys, because of you guys. Barry Lee says, have a good night. Barry Strong. Dilly. G-Dick says, Deshaun Dixon designed for A's. I quite agree. Design for A's, not necessarily the land, because Mike Gilmetti doesn't want to give it up. Sorry for the news. Dilly. Patrick M. Blackman says the way how Mark Davis has behaved, Raider fans would love to see Mark Davis sell the team, but still stay in Oakland. John Mark says good night, Barry Lee, as do the rest of us. Crawford says casinos would be reluctant to chip in. They would rather have their own facilities to entertain their guests and customers, unless they owned part of the Raiders. John Mark says, hey, CSU Rams. Rick Rice says, let's compromise and move the team to Bakersfield. Dilly dilly. Dilly donny. No, I'm sorry, man. No. What's up? No. I ain't dillying that dilly. No way. No. Crawford says, the Oakland Invaders logo was one of the coolest logos in sports history. That's true. That's true. Go CSU Rams says, Zinni, you're awesome. I really like you. I like you too, Drew. Thank you very much, Go CSU Rams. Dilly dilly. Now, Caesar Shin says, hey, have you seen this? Please say hi back. Hi. Maurice Keith says, beat writers deal with sensationalism and stadium development is anything but sensational. Maurice Keith, that is the most intelligent comment of the night. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely correct. And so Caesar Shin says, so why can't thank you for deleting that? Because I was going to say, so you're gone and you're gone. Thank you. Well, our moderators are great. You can't get anything past our moderators. John Mark says, I just think that Vegas gets the Raiders John Marks writes, I just think that Vegas gets the Raiders let's go either the Titans, Jaguars, or Bills and rename them the Oakland Invaders. Crawford says moderators, that was dilly dilly. I agree. Dilly dilly. Dilly dilly. Now, back to a discussion regarding the agenda. And, okay. So, I mentioned that we're going to receive an update from staff on the administrative items relating to the operation of the Stadium Authority and express concerns regarding the budget with respect to the more not performing well collection of stadium tax revenue after the tragedy that was won October. And now number 7 is receive a status report from the Oakland Raiders on the NFL project. Number 8, receive a progress update. Note the term progress update on the land dedication agreement. So we get 4 progress updates: land dedication agreement, UNLV joint use agreement, community benefits plan, and the Raiders non-relocation agreement. So this is not anything that's going to be signed. These are updates. Public comment and adjourn for possible action, and that's it. Now you may wonder, you're saying, why is this thing at UNLV as opposed to Clark County? And it's no political reason. It's nothing that points to, oh, hey, UNLV is going to come out with some sort of special announcement. Well, because they could drive to Clark County and do that. It's just a matter of availability of the Clark County chambers is really what it is. All right. So, let's see here. All right, it is 12:54. Paul Rodriguez, how you doing? Let's see here. Go see Summer says, thanks, Crawford. Why not? Gedick says, wait a minute. Gedick says what? He says, John, no, we will not support the Raiders. No, I mean, no, not, what am I saying? Oh, it's getting late. He says we will not support any team other than the Raiders. I'm not excited about that scenario, especially because I'm not convinced this one's over. In fact, while I have you all on here, let me see something. Who's seeing Star Wars The Last Jedi tonight? I mean, tomorrow night. Well, it is tonight. I mean, taking Mom. In fact, it's 12:55. Omarosa Newman, dilly dilly. Omarosa was fired. Dilly dilly. Poor Omarosa. Oh, she can't catch a break. John Mark says, have fun, Zinni. You can't afford it? What? What? Man, I'll send you the $11 to go. Tony Valencia says, thoughts on my Eagles winning the NFC? I ain't saying, I'll say donny. Yeah, I'll say don't. Well, no, I don't. You know what? I'll say this. Dilly dilly. I'll tell you why. Okay? Because the Eagles are a great example of an organization that did it right. They drafted Carson Wentz. They built a system around his capabilities. And they built a great defense. They made timely personnel moves like getting Jay Ajayi this year. They have a great new stadium. That's just, you know, I haven't been inside of it, but I went by it on the way to the NFL draft, and I was just massively impressed with what I saw. They've got hungry fans that are just, you know, fervent, even, you know, yeah. So, hey, look, there you go. Go CSU Rams says, Vikings home field advantage through playoffs and Super Bowl, I'm calling it. And I say, nah, because the Vikings just got eaten up by the Panthers. You watch out for the Panthers. That's why I was slow to jump on that, you know, and say dilly-dilly about the Eagles. But then I thought, oh, just give them credit, right? But I think the Panthers can beat the Eagles. I really do. I think the Panthers can run the ball down the Eagles' throat. And I think they can stuff them out their passing game. I really do. So, G-Dick says, I like Philly versus Pittsburgh in the bowl. Ooh. Interesting. Panthers, NFC champs. Tony Pine says, I kind of think the Rams might upset. Yeah, and I know the Rams want to have that game back, right? That's a game the Rams, I thought the Rams were quite impressive. And then, you know, the Rams got ahead, and it was almost like they became afraid to win. G-Dick says, I like Philly versus, I read that one. Go CSU Rams says, okay. All right, now it's 12:57. I'm going to stop at 1:10. Yeah, 1:10, because I started at 11. I started at 11:30. And I went to, it would be an hour. My common 90-minute time frame. Yeah. So, Rick Gray says, game day experience for the Las Vegas Raiders for 2 fans. PSL's 20,000 divided over 30 years is 666 per season. Ah! That's the devil! 666! No! Don't go! Don't go! That right there should tell you this is a bad thing, okay? You just right there, okay? Don't do it. Look at this, folks. No, this is bad. This is like Damien Omen 2. Look at this. Rick Gray, game day experience for Las Vegas Raiders 2 fans. Look at this, 66666 per season, all right? Look at that. Look at that. It's upper deck, all right? Yeah, it's high, but look at that. That's bad, man. Golly, it's just like this 666. See, those are numbers that just can't. Hey, Rick Gray, dilly. So, oh my gosh. 831 Scott says, Philly is done without Wentz. Watch out for Nick Foles. Okay. Go CSU Rams says, Battle of Pennsylvania. Crawford says, Browns, 3 losses from 0-6. Katha Pro 510 says, Trump, whose team is going down 1 by 1. Tony Piling says, bring Josh Gordon to the Raiders. That would be so cool. Oh my God. So we bring in Josh Gordon. Who do we get? All right. Well, whole team typo. John Mark says, fits them. Crawford says, that price is not dilly-dilly. No, dilly-dilly. The Barber at 1974 says, imagine a Rams-Chargers Super Bowl. Most folks wouldn't care. I think the NFL would be really sad to see that. It'd be like, oh, gosh. Yes. Because you have 2 teams. I mean, are the Rams fans going to travel? There'll be more St. Louis fans. And what about the San Diego fans? Will they care? Yeah. I mean, that'll be awful. You'll have a stadium full of people that don't care about either team. Because everybody loves the Super Bowl, all right? They want to see Justin Timberlake, you know. But, yeah, okay. And the ratings would be, I don't think the ratings would be that bad, actually. I think the ratings would be pretty good. Yeah. Pretty good. Rick Gray says, I think I should have come up with some of that number that made the price 666 per fan game. Who knows? That might be Mark Davis' dream cost per fan. If that was the case, the guy might be mad. Hey, Rick Gray. Dilly. 666. That's from Psycho. Yeah. Anyway, Rick Rice says Mark Davis is the Red Devil. G Dick says Raiders in 8-8 beat Dallas and San Diego. I cannot see the Raiders beating San Diego. I'm sorry, I can't. The Chargers may very well walk in and clobber the Chiefs. In fact, there's my prediction. In fact, yeah, I'll put that out there on Saturday. I may do a special stream on Saturday. Let's see here. John Mark says Mark Davis can be the spokesman for the Underwood deviled ham. Call the Pro says bad deal, bad luck. The devil is a lie. Raiders do not leave. Laugh out loud. 666 thumbs down. Rick Rice writes, who should we root for this weekend? The Chiefs or the Chargers? What gives us a better shot at the playoffs? Really, you root for the Chiefs to beat the Well, yeah. You have to beat the Cowboys. And then you root for the Chiefs to beat the Chargers. So Crawford says that would be devilishly dilly. John Mark says laugh out loud, Crawford. Yeah, devilishly dilly. It would be devilishly dilly. Rick Rice says Mark Davis is nilly. Go CSU Rams says Chargers are going to win the AFC West and go to the playoffs. I agree. I think the Chargers are the team. G-Dick says KC should win. G-Dick says we play the Chargers. D-Net says good night, Zinni. To which I say good night. Good night. Good night. Hey, somebody throw Tavis Smiley a lifeline. Okay. We got, what do we have here? Hey, I got an investment here from Patrick and Blackman. I'll get you out your shares, Mr. Blackman. Thank you very, very much. Dilly. We've got, let's see here. I'm going to start doing also more live streams about CES and tech, because I've got my hotel room, nailed that down, and so it's going to be exciting. Las Vegas coming up. Rick Gray says, Rick Gray says, well, you know the NFL is all about screwing the fans. Game day cost is a joke right now, Zenny. What do you think the actual amount of unsold seats are right now for the league? 10%, 15%? I would say on the average about 15%, and that's because of the cost. I know the commissioner is more aware of that than we realize. He did address that he's met with organizations that represent the secondary ticket market like Ticketmaster, for example, these past few weeks. So they're working on strategies. I don't know if they're working on strategies to deal with that because I didn't directly ask the commissioner. I'll find out, however. Corey Brown says, I just read something interesting about the USFL antitrust suit against the NFL netted them a measly $3. Yep. Sorry, Zenny, but F Las Vegas. Gotcha. Dilly. Anyway, but I like Las Vegas for CES. I don't hate Las Vegas at all. Look, this is my 9th year covering CES Las Vegas, the latest in consumer tech. It's my mecca. It's a lot of fun. Las Vegas puts on a fantastic show. I'm looking forward to it, like I have, and I'm really looking forward to it because I got a great hotel deal. So, dilly. All right. So yeah, really excited. All right. And I'll reveal where that is later, okay? It is 1:05, and, I went through the agenda, and I cleared all that out. So I'm going to do this because I can feel myself fading into the black. I can feel myself fading into the black. Let me ask you a quick question. How many people here, before you go, don't go, I got a question. By a yay or nay, how many people feel that I should have a live stream devoted to politics or first? Let me ask about politics first, and then I have another question. Politics, yes or no? Politics. Yes or no? 831 Scott, I don't know. I just want to get this. Do you want to see a live stream devoted to Crawford says yes. CSU says no. Big Ray says no. So far, the 2 no's, nay. Okay, so it's 3 no's, 1 yes. Go on. Keep going. That's another yes. Rick Rice, you said that twice. Joseph Binsman says yes, so the no's are catching up. Patrick and Black says mix up, so now we have an even response. Now the next response will be the rubber response. Come on, there's 34 of you. Talk. Say something. Patrick says, yeah. 831 says, I like politics as a topic. Okay, so politics wins right now. Corey Brown says yes, as long as he still gets sports. Oh yeah, no, I'm just saying as an add-in. I'm not saying replacement. You know, I'm just saying like a politics night. You know, just like we talk on the politics. This, unless there's some special development, right? That's what I'm saying. Corey Brown says coverage. Yeah, gotcha, Corey. Right. No, that I would not take that away. But I'm trying to. I want to mix it up. That's all. And I'm on the White House press list, and I get a lot of juicy stuff that needs an outlet. And then I want to do something on Oakland too, and I want to have a live stream on Oakland. And I'm thinking about having that Oakland-based live stream on Monday because it would be Raider news, right? But it'd also be Raider news and Oakland politics news and that sort of thing. So John Mark says Vegas is great, but not for the Oakland Raiders. Okay, so Corey Brown says coverage. All right, so I've got that my response. Now, my other question is, would you support a live stream night about Comic-Con? Primarily, San Diego Comic-Con related stuff, but Comic-Con. Yay or nay? Hello? Comic-Con? Yes. Scott Gunn, yes. No. I got 2 yeses. Rick Ray says no. 831 says yes. Crawford says why not? Yay, yay, yay. Okay, that's cool. All right, cool. 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 Those came flushing through. That's great. All right. So I'll start working on that. So I'm going to do more of a scheduled deal. Like on this day we do this, on this day we do that. And the reason why I want to diversify is because at some point this whole thing is going to come to a place where people aren't as interested anymore, and it's kind of like, there's other stuff going on. So I want to keep my media company growing and all that stuff, all right? So that's why I'm planning now before this thing, in another year. Yeah, in another year, this is going to start winding down in a weird way. One way or the other. That's my anticipation, but it won't be for another year or 2. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. Big Apple says DC and Marvel. Did anybody, by the way, because I did, I saw Justice League. I thought Justice League was okay. Rick Rice says, turn this into a celebrity gossip show. Hey, I like it. I like it. I like it. I do like that. Okay. I do like that idea, Rick Rice. A segment devoted to, that. I like it. In movies. I like that. Okay. All right. It's 1:09. And now I'm about to close and say, as Dandy Dar Meredith once said, turn out the lights. The party's over. They say that all good things must end. Turn out the lights. The party's over. Until we meet again, my friend. All right. So, good night, everybody. I will answer your questions. If you have a question for me, send me an email. If I get to answer your question, I won't get out of here. I'm out. Good night, everybody. You know how to find me, Zenny62.com. Send me an email. See ya. You got it. You the man. You the man. You the man. You all the man. See ya. Thank you. Dilly dilly. Thank you.